All right. Yeah, we'll talk about Ironheart. All right. We'll
Okay,
we'll, we'll get into that. So
can we touch base at MIT?
yeah,
The
yeah.
first.
Next thing. Yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
first episodes. Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to see more of her at college.
You think it was too quick, right?
Okay, thank you, Dark King. Anyways, yeah, like I felt like it's like kind of like you're like, oh, you're getting into trouble, but like you don't really see any of that. You just see her like doing like plagiarism type shit. That's another reason why she got kicked out and shit. Like, you see her doing a lot of that shit. Like, but that was like maybe like a 1 minute montage like of
Right.
them like just showing her selling stuff to different kids and stuff like that from other colleges around the area. So it
Mhm.
was just kind of like, oh, okay, but like, how is her dynamic with the other people in the Tony Stark internship? Like, how was that? Like, they called her genius a lot, and I'm pretty like I feel like they called her genius, and I feel like in ways it was justified because they was like, she went into college at 15. Usually, people like you're like like being smart and being a genius are two different things.
Correct.
So I kind of feel like okay, that a little bit of that is justified. The amount of knowledge that she does have with engineering, like that's higher like way more than average. So you can put that together and stuff like that. Her being like in and even later on, like you'll see her like in the elevator scene. She's being more resourceful than you
Mhm.
would think for her age.
Right.
But I would have liked to see more of her at MIT. And
That's
I
valid.
love the
Mhm.
fact that in that's why like I put it in groups like MIT when she went to Chicago at her
Mhm.
house. Like I put
Right.
it like that, like when I was writing some of the notes for
Right.
episode 1.
Mhm.
So for MIT, I also have like the dean calling her out for trying to make her feel small. And I wrote like the dean reiterated to her how and why she helped her and all the chances that she had and she kept messing up and mentioned about being black and how she had to work to get to where she's at. And
Mhm.
the dean also asked her an important question like, who made you feel small? Because
Mhm.
nobody there ever made you feel that way. You feel that way. So,
Right.
in return, it makes you feel like she's not a reliable narrator.
Right.
Like, her reality is not everybody else's reality. She feels that way, and that's something that we are not touched upon. So, we don't understand like that comment, and it's more of coming from a mindset
Right.
of being a narcissist. Like it's coming up
Mhm.
from a mindset of just like you know you're almost like you're too smart for your own good.
Right.
Like you have these things that you want to do, these quote unquote motivations, but you're
Mhm.
not saying why you have it. Oh, I want to be iconic. She wants to be remembered, and I don't know if that has a play to do with Gary, her stepdad. I don't
Right.
know if that plays into that of wanting to be remembered because
Mhm.
he was a great guy too. He wasn't remembered for nothing. He's only remembered by the people that knew him that were that left behind are still living. So I don't
Right.
know if that has a play into that. But like her motivations is lacking completely. Like they just say shit and just want you to believe it. Like I don't understand how they think that that works.
Mhm.
But it's just like it's nothing really to go off of. Like she just tells you something and you're just like, oh, okay, I guess she just wants to be iconic. That's why she wants to do that. It's
Got a
also
point.
trying to show you, like, and they emphasize this a lot with her not having money and Tony Stark being a billionaire. They emphasize that a lot. So I think a lot of times, like, it reminds you a lot of like people like in poverty, or I'll say like people from New York
Right.
that live like in the projects. Like those kids want to get out of it by any means necessary. They're gonna do what they need to do to get this money. And I feel like that's something I see her doing. But it's just like not trying to get out of anything. She's not trying to go anywhere.
Right.
It's she just wants it for a suit. And then I'm like, but then after you create the suit, then what? What's after that? So that's like your motivations are really shallow in a way. It doesn't
Right.
it doesn't take you from point A to point B because like you're still stuck in the middle. Like okay, you create the suit and then what you get notoriety and everybody remembers your name and stuff like that, singing your praises next to Tony Stark. But then what? And that's what they they don't emphasize. Like that's why I was like, how old is she? Like, is she 15? Because now if she's 15, because remember they said she started college, but then they also said you've been doing your degree, like you've been here and you haven't finished your degree, you haven't gotten a degree yet. So now I'm thinking like, has she been there
Mm,
for 4 years? That would have mean she was 19 now. So my whole thing was like,
mm,
is I feel like a lot of she missed it. She obviously got skipped a lot. So I feel like a lot of pieces are missing, like
mm.
in like her mentality and her mom. We'll get to that when we start talking about like the home,
Right.
like when she
Yeah.
walked into the house and stuff. But yeah, but I think the MIT they could have definitely
Expand more a little bit.
expanded more about to show her how her dynamic, because when you see her
Right.
dynamic with her mom and stuff like that, it's
Right.
it's kind of like, well, were you treating everybody else like this? Because but even the people that were in the grant, like they you heard them in the background, like no, that's her, she paid with that with her grant money. You heard them say that. So like even they stuck up for her. So it was just kind of like,
Mhm.
did she have a good rapport with them, or did she have a good rapport with them because they're all just teenagers? Because they're all gonna stick together against the
Nah,
quote
yeah,
unquote man.
the man.
But I'm gonna
Right.
leave it at
Makes
that. I don't
sense.
want to drag it on too much. Go ahead.
No, no. Okay. That's good. That is good. How you feel about the whole MIT situation, Duncan? Do you feel like they should have expanded more a little bit on that
It doesn't make
for
a
her
difference.
character development?
It didn't make a difference. Like she was like, it was just there. It was just a plot point.
Mhm.
Even though the principal, I mean the teacher, whoever he was, the one that plays the dean in Community, he was a
Right.
character that was that met Tony Stark before. In fact, it's
Right.
in Civil War. So he was a connected character in the MCU, connected. But then it's like, what was the purpose of, like, you could have just played that anywhere else. Like you could have had her expelled already, because it actually makes her look like shit too, because it also puts Wakanda in a bad spot too, if you think about it, because they just dropped her like a ton of bricks after the whole situation was over. Granted, I know what happened, but was supposed to be there protecting people, and they dropped her like a bad habit in the thing, and her for complaining about money, which was, by the way, Wakanda was supposed to help everybody and then fucked off. We're not gonna get into that, but they can write. No, sorry, sorry.
No, they were supposed to help everybody with vibranium. They
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
supposed to be
Right.
out here just handing out checks to people.
no, 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 no. Fuck all that. The fact that she was in Wakanda using the technology, and she was cool with the queen, who's queen, by the way. Spoiler: if you didn't watch Wakanda Forever,
Spoiler
uh,
alert, she's in Haiti now. So now what?
who
Haiti.
cares? Who cares?
How
The
we
fact that
said
the
the
fact the
movie
fact
Haiti.
the fact that they just dropped her like a ton of bricks until like think, oh, here you go, bitch. We did what you needed to do. Your plot's over with us, and left her makes the front look bad already. Very looking bad for multiple reasons. But we're gonna not get into that. But the MIT part was just whatever. Like, she got fired. They made a reference to the Pride Month thing when in her suit. We get that when she flew off. If you didn't catch it, it's really subtle. And then, oh no, you read it to you listen to it carefully, you hear it with the AI calling himself what he called himself. But
Oh,
even
okay.
with,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
thank you. Okay,
I saw that.
so then another thing is with the MIT thing. It was like they stuck by her side, but she stole the suit. It wasn't her suit. It was the school's suit, which looked like ass cheeks anyway. But we're gonna get to the other part because she's supposed to have been dead, by the way.
Okay.
I don't know how she lived
Okay.
through that.
Yeah.
But then again, Tony should have been dead too, multiple times when he's testing out the
Multiple
suits.
times.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
that's a light note in the thing. But for MIT thing, it's whatever. I mean, I'm glad she got called out on her bullshit when they sat there and told her, which is like, oh yeah, yeah, everything's small, and like, listen, we made these programs around you. So that's when I love how the dean called on her shit. Like, you're full of shit. I wish you would have blatantly said you're full of shit.
Right.
And the thing about it is, she never learned from it.
Didn't.
So
You're right.
she never learned from
That's a
it.
prime
So
example from when she gets home. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
she gets
Agreed.
yeah, and then all of a sudden she left her shit there, all her
She
clothes and
literally
stuff. Like,
took nothing, but because nothing. But you think about it, nothing else mattered. She took
Yeah.
what mattered. That's what she.
she
That's
stole
that's
what
what she
mattered.
was a prime example of it. She took
She
the suit.
stole it. She stole it. I don't
She
give a.
stole the
She
suit.
stole it. All right. We not even gonna sit here and hold. And I'm not gonna sit here and let y'all think that she just took it because it was her. No, she stole it and
It was hers,
destroyed,
bro.
damaged. It
It
had
was
it
hers.
had the no. It had the MIT program inside of it. It was
Yes,
MIT
it did.
property. The fuck you
MIT.
mean?
No, see, and that's where I was thinking. And I don't think that it was. I don't think she stole it. I think that it's hers
And they just
because
slapped the MIT staple on
like
it.
because
Yep.
that's where she was working at, and because I was like, why? I'm like, because I did write in my notes, like, why is it? Why is it like if you didn't steal it, why does the whole program in there connected
To your suit. Yeah.
to your whole suit?
Yeah.
Okay. If I worked for a company, say like
Okay,
Chaz own, so we worked when you
so
own. Wait. No,
look,
no,
look, look,
hold on, hold
no,
on.
I'm gonna
Hang
say
on.
this real quick.
Go ahead.
A grant is a sum of money given by an organization,
Uh
often
huh.
a government,
Uh huh.
foundation, or corporation, to an individual or an entity like a nonprofit for a specific purpose, typically with the aim of supporting a project or an initiative. Unlike a loan, a grant does not need to be repaid. So if she got that grant and it was given to her, and that technically means it could have been given to the school, but when the kids say that's her, she paid for it with her grant money, that means that grant was hers. She developed it in MIT, so it was interfaced with the school, but technically she didn't steal it.
Mhm. Okay.
All I'm saying, that's like if I buy a laptop from a grant for
Mhm.
school, it doesn't mean that it belongs to the school. It's mine because I bought it with my grant money
Okay.
to come to school.
Okay.
Mm.
Just wanted
Okay.
to say that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Cool. I respect what you said, but you're wrong. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I know
But
you're kidding. That's why I didn't even say nothing because you're
Yeah.
not gonna play my face. That's all I know.
anyway, yeah, okay. Now I'm in. You're wrong. Anyway, no. One point. So like Chaz's company was a tech company. You know, One Up Level Gaming was a. Oh, it's Google. It was Strike. I'll tell him to go fuck himself. So yeah, I made a project
Mhm.
under One Up Lower Gaming, and then when I leave, I decide to take that with me. It's not mine. It's because it's when well the product that she made it with the MIT products. Even though she paid with her own money, it was still made in MIT. Can't take that shit with you unless you get the go ahead. Once again, she stole it because if it was hers, she would have walked out of. She wouldn't have flown out of there and just left.
But yeah, but how? But technically, think about that. How was she gonna walk out of there with an iron suit if she wasn't in it, though? Let's be for real. But okay.
Fireworks out here.
Damn. Yeah, they always start early.
Yeah, I can see it from
Let
my
me
window.
see.
That's
Let me.
cool. Which is
No, that
more
makes
important
sense.
than this
Okay.
TV show. But yes.
I get
Okay.
what
Okay.
you're saying, but then but there's a reason why that dialogue was in the background. That's what I want you to think about it. So
Mhm.
they wanted the audience to know, like her getting the suit and putting it on, she's not stealing it. That's why they want someone else to say that in the background to say, hey, no, that's her. She bought that with her grant money. Like, granted, like it
Why?
can be stealing technically if you want to look at it like that because you want to say like, oh well, you know, this and that because it came from the school, but like yeah, but that's when you do research, that's the type of stuff that you do. It doesn't technically belong to the school, you're just doing research with the school. With that's like if I use, what is that, WeWork, if I use a WeWork office and do and I have a grant and I'm doing research there, my stuff doesn't then belong to WeWork because I'm doing my stuff there.
Mm.
But you can
Okay.
look over there, but ain't nothing there.
No, there's something over there. There's fireworks over there. Watch your mouth. It's fireworks. I'm looking at the fireworks, which is more important than the TV show.
This-
No, it's gonna look like that Riri suit when it fucking hit the ground.
That
It's gonna
suit
look like
was ass cheek. Yeah, exactly. No, listen,
it
she
looks
could have
like the
kept.
generic super, like the remember he had the suits that look similar to that when it was like, oh, like a suit around the world and stuff like that.
right.
It looks very similar to those suits.
You know the crazy part about it? Tony's original suit looks better than any Iron Heart suit that she has made. Like the original metal, like iron giant suit looks way better than any Iron Heart thing, whatever suit that she made. All of them just look trash.
It's bad. I
Mm.
killed it.
No, I'm not gonna take back what I said. I no the fact that I feel the way that way because the fact that she had to sneak around, like when the security had her back turned, she just started grabbing pieces and snuck out and just went into the thing and grabbed. If it's hers, why did she had to sneak to take her pieces for the suit? It's hers, right? She didn't need to do that shit. She just went like that, brought it to her, flew off. That would have been different.
I think she was stealing the other pieces, but not the suit.
Once again, she's stealing. Hey, what the fuck? Okay, okay. Sorry, I'll behave. I'm behaving.
Okay, next point.
Next point. So you guys are not buying the whole genius prodigy thing.
No.
I mean, she could be, but
Okay.
Ooh.
does it matter?
All right. So well, nah.
Just making
So
dumb decisions.
yeah, you're right. So let's talk about Riri's home life. As soon as she got back home to Chicago, the atmosphere, everything. Her parents talking, her mom talking shit, or I don't know what they
Her
were talking
mom.
about over her conversation. You know, it's just crazy
Mm-hmm.
to me because her friends came over there,
Mm-hmm.
doing that whole thing.
I don't even have
Trying
that many friends.
to, yeah, but her situation was a little like, okay, so how do you feel about that? Like her home, like where she grew up, and her home mentality.
I feel like I thought something was wrong. Like when she was like, "Oh my God, Riri," and I was thinking about her like, "Bitch, you not wondering why she's not in school?" That
Even though
was like
she
the first
already
thing I
knew.
thought. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you
Yeah,
don't
that's still
find that
shitty
until
writing.
after. So when she first came in, I'm thinking in my head like, "Why aren't you wondering why she's here?" Like
right,
she's supposed to be in school, but eventually, she does tell her that she has
right,
the janitor looking out. He told her that she got expelled, so she already knew. But it was just like, but you didn't, put that on, I guess, because company there. People tend to
right.
put on when companies around. It was just like weird with the friend talking about the crystals and the black obsidian crystal. Like I'm like burning sage around her, and I'm thinking like, okay, like are you making her trauma out to be a joke? Because that's where I kind of got the feel. Like they're like, oh, I have something for grief, and she's like, I'm not grieving, because that was what they would talk about when Riri was in the hallway. We was talking about, like about how
Right.
she is, how she's dealing with what happened to Natalie and her stepdad Gary, and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I just feel like her mom wasn't momming. Like it,
Right.
like even when and then the escape plan when she was coming into Chicago before she crashed, like, oh, hey, I think it was named Trevor. Her AI for school
Mhm.
was Trevor. Like, oh, text Xavier, tell him to meet me at my house. So her escape plan was to have Xavier come in because she knew her mom was gonna,
Was gonna
try to
talk
be a
about
mom,
that.
and she didn't want to
Right.
hear it. And
Right.
so like that was the lack of accountability. You can even see it, the lack of accountability with Riri when her mom says like, "Oh, but you don't call. Like I haven't heard from you. I could have heard this from you, but you don't call." And
Right.
then when her mom tries to stop her, she's like, "Oh, no," she says to her like her mom like, "Oh, well, oh, can I just go back to my room and like
Mhm.
basically reflect on what I did?" I'm like, "Wait, hold on. Wait. You're going to mess up and then you think that nobody has the right to say anything to you?"
Right. That's true.
Like, what?
That's
Like
true.
this is
Yeah, that
wild. And
that made no sense to me.
yeah, I was
Really
just
did.
like, "Wait, what do you like what?" That's like
Mhm.
something like my daughter would say to me, like, "Oh, I just want to go in my room." Like,
Oh
like,
my
are you
god.
living in the real world? And so,
Yeah.
like, and then she uses her friend to leave. Like, oh, well, you're not gonna let me go in my room, and you're just gonna sit up here and talk to my ear off. Well, I'm just gonna bounce. And then
Right.
she just leaves as her mom is trying to tell her not to. And it's just like, there go her escape plan.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just felt like her
Yeah.
mom could have been more like once you knew, those friends should have left. And then it should have been a conversation with Riri. You shouldn't have been just sitting up there just like, oh, I don't embarrass me in front of company and stuff like that. I'm like, girl, what? But I have heard that before. My mom
Well,
used to
yeah.
tell you I don't in front of company and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's okay to embarrass me, right? Got you.
Which, there are some traits relatable when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to situations like that. But yeah, I completely understand that. Like her mom was definitely gave me a more of a she gave me more
Big
of a
sis.
stepmom.
Big
Yeah, big
sis. She was
sis.
big
Yeah,
sis.
big sis. Yeah. Big sis kind of energy. So I'm just like, is that her mom really?
I was like,
And then Gary, felt more like dad, not
yes.
stepdad. So I was like, the dynamic didn't make sense to me at one point.
Yeah, it threw me off for a second. I'm like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, like who? Wait, who's
Like,
who?
who is this?
Yeah,
Hmm. That's her cousin.
that's a cousin. Like who's that? But no, I completely get what you mean. Yeah, that energy there gave me the same exact vibe. As far as like the emotion, like right as soon as she got home, I was just like, okay, well, it feels like a home that's kind of distorted around after having what happened with Gary. But it feels like Riri obviously takes it more harder, but she doesn't want to show it.
Yeah.
A- And then it makes her mom be more like, how do I approach
Standoffish.
this? Yeah,
Yeah, like more standoffish. Like, oh, I don't want to push because if I push, then she might break.
right,
And he's like,
right.
oh, I don't want to do too much. And that's because that's the vibe she was doing. Like, especially when she knocked on her door in one scene. Like, oh,
Mhm.
hey, like, oh, you got a boy in there? And then she's like, I'd been like,
Yeah, I saw
boom.
that.
I would have been able to see that whole room. Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
I'm fucking Xavier in here. Let me alone, mom.
right.
That's hilarious. But nah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Darky.
I'm gonna say right now. I forgot. I'm gonna say her name wrong. I apologize. C. Summers, Siri Summers, a phenomenal voice actress who's been in multiple shows. She was Angelica's friend in Rugrats.
Mhm.
She was the foxy lady in Drawn Together. All right, she deserved way better than this show. Like if you don't know
I
what I'm
was
talking
I
about,
was
hmm?
I was saying to myself, a lot of these actors that are on this show can claim that they have been in a Marvel project now.
Yeah,
Especially Andre. Andre, I would have never guessed he would be in a fucking Marvel Disney Plus show.
I mean Hannibal was in a Marvel show, it's a Marvel movie too, so
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
in Spider Man.
No, but Andre, I mean, he does crazy shit off camera.
He should have did crazy shit on that show.
He does.
He would have been way better than the fucking. I have to say this. This show is too good for him. No, sorry, I say it back. He's too good for that show.
He's too good for that show.
He's way too
Yeah,
good for that show.
that makes
But
sense. All right, so character development wise, you felt like the
trash.
first episode wasn't really there
Wait, no.
for a lot of characters.
Wait. But real quick, going back to the mom.
Okay,
There wasn't much time for her. I do agree with you with the stepmom vibes. She did give off stepmom, but there's no time for her to like grow as a person. Like from my point of view, from Riri, she's a shitty person because you didn't call your mom to talk to her or something like that. And then later part in the show, she got mad at her for cleaning the. No, sorry, no. Let me stop because that's episode 2. So yeah, I think that's episode 2 when he talked about a certain thing. So I'm gonna back up. But yeah, her mom didn't have much chance to grow as something because you mentioned about the fact that she asked about the boy in the room. That was episode 2. And that was
right.
after a certain character popped up. But yeah, I don't feel like her mom had time to like do anything. Like it just she was just there. She was like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm a character,"
But
which a bunch of
it
them
was
are.
like it could have been more of an impact. Like that's what I'm saying. Like just because like she didn't have enough time doesn't mean that. Look, okay. So we know her as Riri mother. So my whole thing, first thing she should have been giving off was mother vibes. When Riri
Right.
walked in, she hugged her. Like you couldn't really tell. Okay, she hugged her because that could have been her cousin, her aunt, whoever, her big sis, whatever.
Right. Right.
So, but
That's the
as the
vibe I got. Yeah.
yeah, the
Hmm.
conversation as the conversation is going on, it's
Hmm.
she's like, yeah, but like you don't call and stuff like that. It wasn't that like not saying parents have to be dominant, but it
Yeah.
wasn't a tone that she was carrying when she was talking to her for like not an authoritarian. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm gonna use it type of
Yeah.
tone, but just a way to be like, hey, like, why aren't you calling me? I'm calling you all this. Like, not to nag her, but to point it out to show like the care and the affection she has for her daughter. That was not there. It was very friendly and very like, oh, don't embarrass me in front of company type vibes.
Hmm.
And I should have gotten her up her behind when she got kicked out of MIT.
Yep.
Like, oh, you gonna come and hug me when you walk through the door? No, bitch, that's not happening. Why the fuck
Hmm.
aren't you in school?
Why did you get
That would have
expelled?
been
Because
better.
I know exactly what happened. Why did
Exactly.
you Why did you get expelled?
Forget all this formalities and all this. Oh, hi. Oh, hey, boo. How you doing?
Right? Yeah.
How
It's
you doing?
fucking
And
like
stuff.
all of them were auntie vibes for me. I was like,
Yeah,
what the
for
fuck is
real.
going on here? Go ahead. What happened, Ducky?
She didn't have time to do all that because the fact that she got literally expelled from the school like 10 minutes ago. If it wasn't for that stupid ass, lazy ass plot point, lazy ass line that she paid the janitor to keep her informed. By the way, which would have probably been what 30 minutes, or depending on I would say about 45 minutes, depending on how lazily how they wrote that fact that you know. Matter of fact, you skipped
See,
a major part, huh?
flying from MIT
T
to
to
Chicago.
Chicago, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna ignore that bullshit because that also that plot point where Chaz and the other and his cousin in the show were trying to discuss about how to find a replacement. We not and they happen to see her just flying across the screen.
It was It was an amazing exception.
Shut
You
the
know, I
fuck
saw her flying,
up.
and I was like, I called my cousin up. I was like, "Yo, bro, you think you can grab her and then replace Andre with her real quick?" And that was it.
But yeah,
We found a solution right there on the spot, flying right over us.
honestly speaking, it's mostly because of the shitty writing. That's because the thing about it,
I
like you
agree.
said, I agree with you, Complex. They would have did it better with the mom, being a tough mom. Like, hey, don't give me that 100. What the hell are you doing here? You supposed to be in New York, whatever MIT is. I think it's
Right.
MIT is in New York. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
are
No,
you
it's in
here?
Boston. I think it's in
Oh,
Boston.
Boston. Okay, Boston. Yeah. Why are you here? Like, what? How did you get here? So, I mean, how'd you get here? Like. what are you doing? Yeah, she did kind of ask, what are you doing here? And then her reaction, about finding out MSC. Any mom, knowing from the neighborhood you came out of, and you went to MIT, a very expensive school, my mom would have been with the belt whooping my ass. As soon as I opened the door, what? You remember that scene from Next Friday when Day Day was getting his ass whooped and he put the baby oil on him while he's beating him? That would have been happening to me. I would have got my ass whooped. Like coming in, like what? You got kicked from MIT? Like, mommy, no. It's like,
Mommy, no. Mommy,
like,
no.
yeah. Like, no. That reaction it's not a true mom. That is a stepmom vibe. Yeah. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Mhm.
The acting, I don't know if it has to do with the acting, but
Trash.
I think okay, so acting wise, like I said earlier, if that's what they're going for, then they're doing a good job. But if that's not what they're going for, then they're giving us an impression that, well, we're lost now, you know? That's a horrible way to think. If we don't know if they're going for that vibe or not, and that's a bad thing. I feel like when it comes to acting and writing, you have to know what you're writing about. You have to know your actors have to be on point with how the sympathy has to be. And with her going home like that, it was nonchalant. It was just like it just didn't feel authentic. And I'm just like, all right, well, off to the next scene.
No.
And
Plot
which
convenience. I forgot his name.
yeah,
Plot convenience. Love interest. Hey, I'm here. What's going on, guys? Oh, thank God. Let's move the plot along.
which now let's turn our attention to the villain of the story.
Riri Williams.
Um,
Oh. The story villain. Okay.
the story villain, correct. All right, so I want to know your first impression, your first thoughts on the villain. Obviously, we know he's the villain, but did you get that vibe from the first episode?
Can I go first for this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not to be funny, not to be silly, not to say anything and it start to get complex lecture again. When I first saw him, I laughed. I laughed so fucking hard, and then I laughed again after Riri pulled that bullshit on the elevator. I laughed so fucking hard when he was like standing like you part of the group, like you standing with like this, tape behind him, like hey, what's up? I'm like, I would have got shot. I would have got a knife thrown at me because I would have laughed. I would have been like, the fuck out of here. I went back in the elevator, like, fuck out of here. He is not intimidating at all. Like, as a villain, he is trash. Like,
You don't like his 4'9" ass being a villain?
he is, oh, like, fuck that. He's a trash. Like,
Yes, let's talk about the villain squad.
the villain squad. You mean the fucking B-list, like, E-list squad? All of them are garbage. One-dimensional pieces of shit.
Kevin Hart was the villain?
And Chaz, stop making yourself say, you say four. It was Chaz. Look at the look at the picture of the villain. It looks like Chaz. It dead ass look like Chaz.
Oh, fuck. Even HR, she saw me watching it for like a little bit. She was like, what are you doing there? I'm like, no, don't fucking compare me to him. Oh,
Can I say something? Are you gonna get? It would have been more intimidating. He had a Snapple bottle in his hand.
There we go.
Like there you go. I'm gonna leave it as that. But that's how I feel.
Right,
They wasn't intimidating.
yeah. Okay. Over to you, Complex. How'd you feel about the villains of the story in the
Huh?
first episode? How'd you feel about the villains in the first
They were
episode?
fucking lame.
Listen,
I did not like them at all.
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
okay.
I just really didn't. There wasn't nothing for me to really like. They tried to show like all their personalities,
Right.
and it was just kind of like I'm just like
Wait.
I can definitely do without this.
I understand. Wait, so here's the thing. Only one of them actually, besides Eric Andre, because Eric Andre was part of the villains squad. He was the original hacker. Before he got replaced by Riri Williams. But the cousin,
Rampage. Get it right.
yeah, sorry, Rampage. The one name he tried to get through, and it was like, no, fuck off. Even though he's an actual villain that can do better shit than he does in the TV show, by the way. But like the hood, I did like the relationship between the cousin and the hood. You can see that they had a bond.
Yeah. Okay.
That I respect. That was fine. Like
Yeah.
he was actually like the cousin was good.
And it's a valid crash out for the last episode that we saw.
No.
You don't think it's a valid crash out?
That was forced. That was forced as fuck. Something was cut. And by the way, future note, that was a stupid plan that she pulled
That was
because she could have just did it. She could have just did it in the fucking in the hideout when the other person clown got the thing in the first place when she did it again. They wasn't. He don't keep it. He don't keep it secret. Why the fuck you gonna waste the time and do a heist and then fuck up the heist?
Yeah, she did.
So yeah,
My bad. My bad.
that's episode 3. Sorry.
We'll get to episode 2 right now. But all right. So first impressions of episode 1. What would you give it?
Shit.
Complex.
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10. All right. Darko?
Okay, I would give it a 2 out of 10, but then the last words is "you bitch," and then I was like, it was 0
Wait, what?
when she was like, "Oh, you bitch." I'm like, and then Riri passed out, and
Who
I'm just
said
like, "What?"
that?
Natalie at the end of the show, the last thing she said.
Oh, I thought you were saying I said that. I was like, wait, hold
No,
on.
I said no. I said I would have gave it a 2 out of 10, but then the last words in the show is "you bitch,"
Oh yeah. Hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, 0, 0. I listen. All 3 episodes are 0. Honestly speaking, I mean, let me just give that out the way now. This trash.
That's crazy, bro.
That's crazy.
Listen,
That's
let's get to episode 2
crazy.
because I got a lot to say about episode 2.
Okay. Well, first, before we get to episode 2, I want to talk about one thing in the first episode first.
Go ahead, my husband.
What
You
are,
in it?
what are your thoughts on the cinematography? Let's go complex first.
I don't know. I didn't really notice anything special that they did. My eye is not too keen like that to catch anything special. The only thing I can really say, like visually, I would say like, oh, when she was flying in the suit and she had to crash down, that was the only thing like that could really caught my eye. But besides that, I feel like it felt like it was decent at best. But what
Okay.
did you think, Chaz? Because your eye is more keen on that.
No, yeah.
Wait, because I know you're gonna talk more about it. Can I say mine?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah, go
you definitely know more than me in that sense. Now,
Right.
I kind of was like, okay, when they did the the intro and you see the name, I'm like, I kind of like shows that do stuff like that where they incorporate the name of the show in the back. Like Invincible does it perfectly. When it goes,
Yeah.
oh, I'm in, and then and you see the word Invincible pop up. So when they did that, I was like, cool. But it's the same font and same thing, and I'm like, okay, this is cool for the first episode, but then I'm like, whatever. Her face thing, we've seen it so many times. Who cares? It's typical. It's typical Disney Plus TV. So magic. Who cares?
Okay. Yeah. Because being that this was produced by Ryan Coogler, his vision for Black Panther and everything else kind of intrigued me when it comes to cinematography. But I didn't see the same love and passion for cinematography in this show. Period. To be quite honest, the first 3 episodes, even though we're talking about episode 1, but I'm just flat out episode 1 didn't have the same cinematography kind of view that made Wakanda Forever and Black Panther 1 really stand out. But yeah, that's what that's what I feel when it comes to cinematography, because I'm a big cinematography head. When it comes to that, I just don't feel like they brought any good shots, any good cinematography there. But that's just me. You know, I'm a very big cinematography person. That if I see a show, that's one of the main things I look for is how they shoot and how they act, because it will kill the vibe if you have a great cinematography but the actor is shitty. But here you have 2 things that are bad: cinematography plus the acting. So it's like even when Gary got shot, it's like, oh, okay, he got shot, cool. It's like you don't feel emotion out of anything.
You seen when he got shot?
Yeah, you didn't see it? It happened in a blink of a second.
With that fucking lens flare blur bullshit that they did. You saw when they get shot?
Exactly. So my thing is they should have just showed it straight from the get-go. Like, okay, the first episode should have been like the why she was so, why her mom was talking about, are you still in grieving, and all this other stuff, why people were still contacting her, like, are you still okay, like, are you mentally still here? Because if they would have showed that towards the end, we would understand why she felt that way. But the scene just went like, "Bah, bah, bah, get down," but that's all I saw. And I'm just like, what the fuck happened? Like, who got shot first? How did they get shot? Like, if he was protecting Natalie or Natalie was protecting Gary, I don't know what happened there. Like, it was just all over the place. And plus the lens flare shit made it worse because you don't know what the fuck was happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just my take on the cinematography when it comes to the first episode in general.
Okay.
I don't